Welcome back to another fun-filled 3026 breakdown. I am your host, Jon Lee, and I'm super excited to welcome you back to another What's Up With Ya Mans. In this episode, I'll be asking the time-honored Bomani Jones-inspired question, What's Up With Ya Mans, about Tim Kennedy. This is almost like a greatest hit album because Tim Kennedy has done a lot of questionable things. There is a long and arduous process one could do to dig in the crates of the different weird and head shaking moments that Tim Kennedy has had of awfulness throughout his entire career. So, for the sake of brevity, and because I don't really have the emotional energy to do a 30-minute hate fest on Tim Kennedy, I'll keep it to the 5 most shaking What's Up With Ya Mans moments of Tim Kennedy's career. Let's get started with number 5. Number 5, his Twitter account. There's much, much more. I honestly didn't want to put this much research into it because I just don't respect Tim Kennedy enough to spend a lot of time looking up his dumbass, unthought out opinions. But these two are a good example of what he's talking about. In one, we have the picture of this knife, gun, compass, just weird shit that he carries 24 hours a day because, in Austin, he's at risk for a lot of terrorist attacks. And in the other, he is challenging or responding to a challenge from Deadspin editor Tim Marchman to a cage fight because no quote unquote cucks had responded wanting to fight Marchman. And Tim Kennedy, a professional cage fighter, thinks that he is an appropriate person to respond to a challenge to editors and writers, even though he's neither an editor or writer. And it looks like he just kind of wants to beat up a dude who doesn't like conservatives. So, bully as well. Add that to Tim Kennedy's resume. Looking good, Tim. Number 4, hunting Hitler. So it's one thing for Eugene S. Robinson to share the theory that he thinks Hitler escaped Germany in a submarine. Shout out to Eugene S. Robinson, who I love. But Tim Kennedy went a step further and decided that he was going to get on TV and make a show about it where he's hunting Hitler in 2014. Again, no exaggeration, no satire. This is one of those situations where you literally could not make a Saturday Night Live skit about it because the reality of a former Green Beret hunting Hitler in some South American country is more ridiculous than any sketch could be. Like, if I was a writer in the Saturday Night Live room and I was like, yo, I got it. How about we make a show, a reality show spoof, where the lead character is a former Green Beret, and he wants to go to Argentina because he thinks Hitler escaped on a submarine, and he wants to hunt Hitler in 2014. That's funny, right? There's good stuff there. We do it like Dog the Bounty Hunter. Everyone would be like, yeah, no, that's a little too ridiculous. Except it actually happened. Someone paid Tim Kennedy to hunt Hitler in 2014. What the fuck? Alex Jones and Make America Great Again. I don't want to get too much into politics because I'll be doing that in videos soon, I'm sure. But the Alex Jones thing. So in Jon Ronson's awesome book, Them, which is all about conspiracy theorists, like Jon Ronson and Alex Jones, and this is actually the book that made Alex Jones famous, they go to a meeting of the Blunderberg group, the Blumenberg group, something like that, which is some secret society that rich people, rich, powerful people go to. And they were clearly doing a reenactment, some sort of reenactment of like a ceremonial sacrifice scene. No blood, no anything. It was just like fake, right? And Jon Ronson clearly documents this. It's been documented. There's even footage. And Alex Jones basically turned it into this conspiracy that he walked into, which basically formed the basis of all his neurotic, Illuminati, everything that he talks about. And Tim Kennedy is really into Alex Jones. You guys all just heard Alex Jones on Joe Rogan, right? Alex Jones is a crazy person. And Tim Kennedy thinks he has a lot of good ideas. You know why? Because what's up with your mans, Tim Kennedy? So Tim Kennedy complains a lot. In fact, one could argue that for someone who projects himself as such a hyper masculine, be a man, get over it, ranger up type dude, he sure whines a lot. In fact, I might want to call the wambulance for him. But Stoolgate was amazing because of a couple of things. Number one, Tim Kennedy always complained. So if there was one fighter that was going to make a huge, huge deal out of something like Stoolgate, which, was a medium sized deal. MMA is a weird sport, weird shit happens. It would be Tim Kennedy. And then that happened to Tim Kennedy, which is a delicious twist of, I'm not sure if irony is the right word. I don't want to misuse irony like that Alanis Morissette song, but it's very amusing. The Schadenfreude is real. The second thing that's amusing about Stoolgate is that Tim Kennedy conveniently in his complaining forgets that he cheated right before that when he grabbed Yoel Romero's gloves so he could land all those uppercuts, and that without him cheating, Yoel's not even in trouble and doesn't need the stool. And then third, it's funny because Yoel came out and absolutely annihilated Tim Kennedy and broke his face and made him look like this, which, you know, if I could be sexually aroused by looking at pictures of a beaten up fighter, not that I could because I'd be weird, but, Tim Kennedy, he'd be high on the list because, man, I like looking at that dude all lumped up. Beautiful. Doing the Lord's work, Yoel. And personally, I believe that Kelvin Gastelum should have a national holiday similar to Martin Luther King's Day, named in his honor for retiring Tim Kennedy. And last, and certainly least, this rant about PTSD, man. Not only does he say this is coming from someone who has killed women and children, like it's some sort of point of weird pride, but he then goes on to say that PTSD is not a disorder when there are doctors and scientists who are much smarter than Tim Kennedy who have proven that it's real and it exists. And I'm sure Tim Kennedy has run into many other soldiers suffering for it. And his basic solution is nut up, man, be a man, be exhausted and deal with it and meet your maker and be awesome. Tim Kennedy is basically telling people to sack up over PTSD, which, in addition to being incredibly insensitive, is just the utmost of like mansplaining and dudes trying to pretend they're super tough. So, all of this leads to one and only one question. What's up with you, mans? This is seriously the first and hopefully only What's Up With Ya Man Lifetime Achievement Award. Seriously. What's up with your mans, Tim Kennedy?